Do you remember when Hillary Rodham Clinton said this?
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch.
Now, why did she say that? Did she know something that the rest of us didn't know? Well, of course. If you don't see that the fix is in and the deep state is part of this, that includes even those on the so-called Republican side of the aisle, even the intel community working together now to make sure that the whistleblowers coming forward are dissuaded, discouraged, discredited. If you don't understand the kind of fight that we are in, the literal spiritual warfare this is, you might want to skip this monologue today. Otherwise, stay tuned. Ohioans groaned yesterday as the little sniveltwit, to which I refer to Governor Mike the DeWiner, came out with his new set of mandates because we're spiking and you Ohioans are not behaving yourselves and we're going to make sure that you behave. You will do what they tell you to do. Do you not understand what I am saying to you? You will like it. So now, apparently, he didn't want to come right out and sound like Gavin Newsom from California, but, he implied that if you really want to live the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, that you want to give yourself, and he used the phrase, the greater good. Who is it that uses phrases like that? Would that be tyrannical regimes and communistic regimes and give yourself to the greater good, which means what the government tells you is the greater good for your fellow man because that's how we're going to control you. Basically, he has created in Ohio the mask police, and it will be their job to fine and shut down businesses who do not enforce the mask mandate. Bum, ba-dum, bum. He had been feeling the heat from the conservatives in the state, from the Republicans in the state, that he needed to stop this encroachment on personal civil liberty. So what did he do? He circumvented that by saying he has jurisdiction over businesses in the state and how they conduct business. Therefore, businesses that do not post about wearing a mask and then do not enforce it of the people within their businesses, he will shut them down. Didn't say anything about fining people not wearing masks or arresting them because he knows that would absolutely just get the villagers out with their pitchforks and torches to storm the castle gates at night. No, nay. He wants to be able to look at the conservative base and say, I didn't encroach on your rights. I simply said that businesses need to do what's best to protect the health and safety. Now see, if they were really interested in health and safety, all you'd have to do is know that all of the states that have had even stricter lockdowns than places like Ohio, that have had a mask mandate in place since day one, their numbers are all spiking too. So it isn't the mask. The issue is really, you guys want to talk about science? Well, let's talk about science. And let's invoke a little bit of theology into this as well. The Creator, or you could say science, I'm good with either one in this particular case, the Creator or science, the way it works when a viral outbreak happens, there has to be a spreading through so that we get herd immunity. You not understand that the second wave of this thing, it is spreading faster than the first wave. We have been saying that for months. We have also said it's not anywhere near as fatal or deadly. The mortality rate has dropped off. It's unconscionable what these little dictators are up to. They are purposely using this virus, which, by the way, we are in regular flu season now. That can attribute to some of the spiking numbers, but nonetheless, because, nobody gets pneumonia or the flu anymore, they just get corona. And they keep adding symptoms to coronavirus. Isn't that special? Isn't that helpful? so that they can continue to lock us down. This is about seeing who are going to be sheep and who are going to be troublemakers. Who are the ones that are willing to just line up and comply and have their temperature checked and wear the muzzle and do as you're told. And who are the renegades out there that we're going to have to re-educate you or punish you. And, somehow make us feel like that we're somehow killing the population, and then to really attack the churches that way. If you really believe the golden rule, doing unto others, you don't want to spread a virus among them. See, because ultimately, what we're seeing with this election, the fix is in, and using this pandemic, it wasn't just about crashing our economy so that they could get rid of Orange Man. No, nay. This was about crashing the entire system of our governance so that we give up this concept of this free republic that we have, and we need socialism. But in order for people to embrace socialism, they have to be to the place of absolute despair and desperation where they have all their rights stripped away, and then a little piecemeal at a time when the government decides, okay, you can go back into a restaurant, but you're going to sit 20 feet apart. But I get to do that again? Oh boy, thank you, government. Thank you. See, they strip everything away. They absolutely ratchet up the hysteria, causing depression, causing these problems with our economy where everything crashes, so that we depend on the government. In steps socialism, in steps the big brother replacing God. Because, by the way, keep paying attention to what's happening to churches in California. That's coming nationwide, because ultimately we can't have people having faith in anything but the government. That's what this is all building to. Understand, the president isn't just fighting Democrats. He isn't just fighting leftist ideology and even never-Trumpers within his own party. This is literally a battle of the deep state. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead, and you can call it hyperbole if you want. I don't care. You don't have to watch my channel anymore or listen to my monologues. This is absolutely evil. This is spiritual warfare. This is about the absolute takedown of America, and I am telling you, Satan drives this thing because America is the last bastion not only of freedom, but religious liberty, where the gospel has a positive effect. And that's got to go. And that is what stands in the way of globalism and a one-world government. Boom. And some of you evangelicals, Donald Trump, your behavior. Okay, you want to talk about things he did 20 years ago? Where's your concept of grace and forgiveness? And as far as we can tell, since being president, he has told the line morally, and he has been an incredible friend to the evangelical community. Do you have any loyalty whatsoever, or are you all just going to be Judas now? I mean, seeing evangelical leaders starting to congratulate Joe Biden. You think Joe Biden gives a rat flip about your evangelical beliefs? Do you think he's going to do anything to defend your evangelical beliefs? He wants us masked and gagged and shut down. And as far as he is concerned, the church can be regulated to online only. And then eventually they'll pull the plug on that because we're violating community standards. You can't say Jesus is the only way. You're being exclusionatory. You're done on Facebook. You're done on YouTube Live. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. So that's where we're at, people. But there is a silver lining. God has a way of flipping the tables, flipping the script, if you will. There's a passage in the Old Testament, the curse causeless shall not come, but it shall be like a darting swallow. What does that mean? It means that in Scripture, God says, I have this way of when somebody tries to throw a curse on you, I have a way of making that thing boomerang and come right back on them. And that's what we need the God of heaven to do right now. See, There is all of this exposure happening now. We have people coming forward, and these are not anonymous whistleblowers like we had with Ukraine, and only Adam Schifferbrains was allowed to know who they were, and they weren't allowed to be interviewed. And if you mentioned their name online, you got your page taken away from you, and you got censored, and you got fact-checked, and you got kicked off. How dare you mention the name of the whistleblower? Yet we have whistleblowers now coming forward out. They're public. They are signing legal affidavits under sworn testimony of the threat of perjury. They're being harassed now by the FBI. Here comes the intel community. Here comes the deep state trying to get them to shake. You have the Washington Post running articles. Oh, that postal worker, he's recanted. He came forward and said, I didn't recant anything. I'm telling you, I was ordered, I was told to post-date these incorrectly so that they would be counted into the Biden vote. Nice. You have Project Veritas exposing all this, and as soon as they post it, the videos just vanish. They just disappear. This is a battle. This is going to require prayer, grit, and guts. And you're going to have to lock in, because we have to keep exposing this. We have to keep exposing this because the media doing the bidding of the deep state, they're all in this little global community together. You know, this coronation of Joe Biden as the president-elect, which he is not. Nothing has been certified yet. And if you're worried that even the courts and even the Supreme Court will go against the president, remember, and I know some of you hate it when I talk this way, but I am telling you, there is still a God on the throne in heaven, and he is able to flip the script on this thing. And there is the nuclear option. See, Hillary alluded to it.
You know, Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch.
There is nothing constitutionally that the president has to ever concede. That doesn't have to happen. Biden can be coronated without a Trump concession. Understand that. Now, that said, the reason they like the concession, that puts an end to everything. It kind of, if Donald Trump were to come out and concede, that would kind of say to all of the Trump supporters, stand down. Stop protesting, stop having pro-Trump rallies, stop waving Trump flags. All of the court battles would be over. All of the everything would just stop. That would be it. And that's what the left, that's what the deep state, the globalists want. They want that concession. Without that concession, this continues on. This continues on. And at some point, they do understand that even the people that are not really attuned to all of this are going to start getting upset that, well, why is it anybody that's got a differing view with you people gets censored on social media? They can't post their videos. They can't post their posts. You are watching Twitter is tanking now to Parler. There is another social media platform called MeWe, which is supposed to be like Facebook. The problem is they make it harder than hard for you to, get your friends on board. It's a pain the way they do it, but the layout looks almost identical to Facebook. MeWe, if you'd figure out how to get that thing a little bit more user-friendly, you could take down Mr. Zuckerberg, who, by the way, is simply pimping out all of your stuff, all of your information, selling it, and then he's using that money not to improve Facebook, to make sure that he is left alone by Washington and can basically become the be-all, end-all of the First Amendment, and he uses that money to finance the very candidates that are hell-bent on the destruction of the United States. Are you getting this? Is any of this registering? So the president absolutely do not concede. Why? Because even if the Supreme Court lets you down by a non-concession, what could happen, and our founding fathers in their brilliance, they did account for this. It happened in 1800, happened in 1820, happened in 1824. Contested elections. And if it gets to the point where the electors decide, well, you know, the president is not backing down here. If you start seeing certain states like Pennsylvania get flipped, when the court will have no choice, they are going to have to hear what's going on with Pennsylvania. There's an avalanche of evidence there, and Justice Alito has already alluded to that the Supreme Court is pretty much on board with the governor of Pennsylvania. No, nay, you crossed too many lines there. You can't just rewrite election law. That has to go through your state legislature. You didn't do that. That 600,000 extra votes you found are going to go away. Biden's going to lose Pennsylvania. Georgia's being recounted as we speak. Michigan is going to get recounted. So if this thing goes under where neither candidate has the 230 electoral votes, this becomes a contested election because the president won't concede. It then gets kicked to the House of Representatives. And at that point, both guys start out with 0. It's like the election never happened. But don't panic. Breathe. I know what you're thinking. Well, Nancy Pelosi runs the House. First of all, it won't be the current House of Representatives that votes on it. It will be the new House of Representatives, the one where Nancy Botox Pelosi lost seats, lost her supermajority. But not only that, in the House of Representatives, each state gets 1 rep, 1 vote. So you got 50 states, that would be 50 reps. And by the way, if you figure out how many state houses, how many states are considered Republican, how many states have actual Republican gubernatorial administrations, we have the majority. Game, set, match. Mr. President, don't concede. If you're a believer, if you're a Christian, pray. This is spiritual warfare. And get ready, because the deep state, they're going to put it all out there now. That's why they're clamping down now on more fear and hysteria. That apparently during this election cycle, you have forgotten that you could drop dead at any moment of coronavirus, and you're ignoring the spikes. And how dare you start exercising your personal liberty again? And you stop wearing masks, and stores have stopped enforcing it, and you fail to fit your told. Understand that they are raging right now. The Bible says the heathen raged. They are raging right now. And when they rage, don't be afraid. The rage means they're afraid that everything that they have systematically built and been trying to move this direction and this country in that direction over the years has been absolutely turned on its head in 4 years by Donald Trump. He absolutely cannot have 4 more. That is why we have to be even more vigilant, even more visible in our support. Do not let them get away with it. Scream, holler. If they take your post down, repost and repost and repost. If they kick you off, create a new identity, come back, repost. Do not let them get away with this by pushing everything into the shadows and letting the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media try to cover it up. Keep screaming it from the housetops. Hey, that's it for my little chat with you today. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel while it's still here. Give us a thumb. By the way, some of you have asked, how come you're not on BitTube TV anymore? Well, that's because big tech out of Silicon Valley has decided, this is one of those sites from another country. You could get a virus if you log on there. So everybody gets the scare warning. There's actually nothing wrong with the site, but you all get the scare warning. So there's no point in my posting there anymore because you won't go to that other site anymore. So we are working on finding another platform that you can get to that you won't get the scare warning. But again, everything is a scare warning now, isn't it? Isn't it great? Isn't it great? And you want to coronate Joe Biden to where all of this then just becomes the norm and nobody fights back on it anymore? You really want to live in the socialist states of America? Come on. Smack the bell, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you click the word all to get notification of my next rant.